I just thought "And Thomas died" was such a cool last line of the story. You know, I had a cool experience today. My mom called me, and she was bawling her eyes out.
She was.
Because I purposely didn't tell her who the book was dedicated to until she got it today in the mail. And it's dedicated to her, if you haven't noticed yet. So that was pretty cool. All right. I'm going to read about one page. It's not the last page. Starting at the very bottom of page 2, if you want to follow along. Although this is the advanced copy, so there might be some slight differences. I hope not too many. How many of you... See, this is why I hate readings, because if you haven't read these books yet... Should I just bag the reading?
No.
Michael, you decide. Okay. If you haven't read them yet, this won't make any sense whatsoever, so I won't really spoil anything.
It's true.
Thomas has been in a white room. And he's been prisoner for a little bit of time. For about 3 weeks. And that's really all you need to know. He's in a white room, and that's where I'm going to pick up. The rage crept in, like a shivering rat looking for a spot of warmth, a crumb of food. And with every passing day came an increasing anger so intense that Thomas sometimes caught himself shaking uncontrollably before he reeled the fury back in and pocketed it. He didn't want it to go away for good. He only wanted to store it and let it build. Wait for the right time, the right place to unleash it. Wicked had done all this to him. Wicked had taken his life and those of his friends and were using them for whatever purposes they deemed necessary, no matter the consequences. And for that, they would pay. Thomas swore this to himself 1,000 times a day. All these things went through his mind as he sat, back against the wall, facing the door, and the ugly wooden desk in front of it. And what he guessed was the late morning of his 22nd day as a captive in the white room. He always did this, after eating breakfast, after exercising, hoping against hope that the door would open, actually open all the way. The whole door, not just the little slot on the bottom through which they slid his meals. He'd already tried countless times to get the door open himself. And the desk drawers were empty. Nothing there but the smell of mildew and cedar. He looked every morning, just in case something might have magically appeared while he slept. Those things happen sometimes when you were dealing with the wicked. And so he sat, sorry, I was distracted. And so he sat, staring at that door, waiting. White walls and silence. The smell of his own body. It's my favorite line from the book. Left to think about his friends, Minho, Newt, Frypan, the other few gladers still alive. Brenda and Jorge, who'd vanished from sight after their rescue in the giant bird. Harriet and Sonia, the other girls from Group B, Eris. About Brenda and her warning to him after he'd woken up in the white room the first time. How had she spoken in his mind? Was she on his side or not? But most of all, he thought about Teresa. He couldn't get her out of his head, even though he hated her a little more with every passing moment. Her last words to him had been, "Wicked is good." And right or wrong, to Thomas she'd come to represent all the terrible things that had happened. Every time he thought of her, rage boiled inside him. Maybe all that anger was the last string tethering him to sanity as he waited. Eat, sleep, exercise, thirst for revenge. That was what he did for 3 more days, alone. On the 26th day, the door opened.